So there are 3 Star Wars movies that are on the horizon, and we got that information back at Star Wars Celebration. Kathy Kennedy told us about the Rey movie that's set 15 years in the future past the Mandoverse. Kathy Kennedy told us about Dave Filoni and the Mandoverse movie. And then she's going way, way, way back with James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. And with no surprise, she's linking together the James Mangold and the Rey movie, basically changing Star Wars as we know it. Oh yeah, and we just caught her in a big lie. Let's look at it.
Echo 3 to Echo 7. Mono, buddy. 3 Echo Station 3PA.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming back here to Echo Base Network. Coach here again on this one. Appreciate it very much. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, give us a comment down below what you think about this information, but I would definitely watch it all the way through. Now, let's get into this. Kathleen Kennedy explains why the Rey and James Mangold Star Wars movies are linked. And again, one is set 15 years in the future, and the other one goes back thousands of years to before the Jedi. We're talking about the earliest Force users. Some of the most exciting news stories to arrive from Star Wars Celebration 2023 were the reveals that Daisy Ridley will be returning in a new movie set after The Rise of Skywalker. That wasn't exciting at all. And Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny director James Mangold will be helming his own Star Wars movie about the origins of the Force. But he doesn't want to be tied to canon, so I'm not really, excited about that one either. Rey's movie is set to focus on the rebuilding of the Jedi Order, but of course, she won't be the first to try and restore the Jedi to their former glory, As we've seen across the Disney Plus TV shows and The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker did his best to build his own Jedi Academy, though ultimately the efforts were destroyed by Kylo Ren. Please don't remind us. Oh my gosh. I'm sure Rey's going to be able to do it better, folks. Considering that history, how will Rey's Star Wars movie break new ground then? I think, and this is Kathy Kennedy's words, I think what's always great about Star Wars is it's a big galaxy, and we're coming off of what was a major war with the First Order. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy tells Games Radar. And now Rey has made a promise to Luke that's really the core of where we're going and what this story will be. And I think it offers just tremendous opportunity to introduce new characters and start with something fresh, because we culminated with what George Lucas was creating, and now we take all of that and move it to the next chapter. George's work is complete. You completed George's work in the sequel trilogy? Well, that right there is a slap in the face to all Star Wars fans and George Lucas. You didn't culminate crap. I digress. Let's see how this is linked to James Mangold's movie now with what Rey and rebuilding the Jedi Order, okay? As for Mangold's movie, that film will take us back a long way on the Star Wars timeline to the Force's very beginning. Kennedy tells us that this has been a major consideration for some time. And here's our quote, folks. That's come up a lot. From the moment I stepped in and George brought me into the company, there's been a lot of interest in that, she explains. Well, that's very interesting that Kathy says that. Basically, this has been on my mind, this has been on my plate since before 2012 when George first brought me in. Well, let's look at this news and see if James Mangold's comments support what Kathy just said, or is Kathy lying? Back in April, Lucasfilm announced that writer-director James Mangold is working on a film set in an era called the Dawn of the Jedi. But the idea isn't that exactly. It's about the first people to feel and use the Force. So not even Jedi, really. At least, not yet. It's a fascinating concept ripe with possibility. So when IO9 sat down with Mangold to talk about his new movie, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, we had to ask about his future foray into a galaxy far, far away, and even a longer time ago. And here's James Mangold's words. Well, I've talked to Lucasfilm before and even worked a bit before on other projects, and I'm always interested in what's going on over there and have friends who work on other Star Wars projects, but I understand that much of what they were doing was kind of continuing the saga forward. And here's where it gets juicy. So when I mentioned to Kathy, Lucasfilm president, the idea that I had about going backward, really far backward, I was surprised that it excited her and the other wonderful people she works with at Lucasfilm, he continued. For me, it's about I want to be part of the saga, but I also don't want to be holding so much lore in the air that you could hardly tell a story. And what I really wanted to do, what I told her, was just can we make a kind of the 10 Commandments of the Force, a kind of origin story of how the Force came to be known, understood, wielded, and harnessed. So, two things. One, who the freak is James Mangold to tell us a story about how the Force came into being? Have we thought about that yet? And here's the second thing. If Kathy Kennedy was telling the truth about going way, way, way back and telling the origin story had been on her plate since she first came to the company over 10 years ago, then James Mangold wouldn't have been the first person to walk up and pitch that idea to her, and then she was excited about it. She would have already went out and got somebody to do this. She is absolutely bold-faced lying about this, trying to make it look like she's a better studio head than she is. Kathy Kennedy, Hall of Fame producer, okay? Kathy Kennedy, Hall of Shame studio head and president of Lucasfilm. The worst we could possibly have, I think. It's just been so bad. She needs to go. She needs to hit the door, get somebody in there that could actually hire the right people to tell us stories. None of this Acolyte bullcrap, none of this sequel trilogy bullcrap, none of this Mandalorian season 3 bullcrap. I mean, it is just gotten bad, folks. And I don't know about you, I'm sick of it. Tell me what you think in the comments about the two quotes here that we're looking at that are 2 weeks apart from each other. Kathy Kennedy, I wanted to tell this story since the beginning. This has always been on my mind. And James Mangold, hey, I just, I saw Kathy walking down the hall and said, hey, let me tell a 10 Commandment story. And we'll go way, way, way back. And Kathy's like, oh, really? Come on, man. What a freaking liar. Like, I'm sorry, guys. She's a liar. That's going to do it for us on this one. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Hit subscribe, like, comment, share, all that stuff. I'll see you tomorrow night on our Thursday night chill stream and our main flagship show, EBN Live, Saturday night. We are Echo Base Network. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one.